Hello and welcome to the Charlotte Content Marketing Podcast. My name is Andrew Rusnak. I am the founder of Charlotte Content Marketing, located in the beautiful Queen City that is Charlotte, North Carolina. Today is going to be all about AI, and I know you're super excited to hear more about AI. Maybe if this was like early 2023, you'd be like, AI, but now you're like, AI. Yeah, me too. But then again, I don't know, man. There are some evangelists out there. They love it. They are not tired of the AI slop yet, unlike the rest of us, and me in particular. No, I kid. You know, AI has obviously some utility, but it's not going to be the Skynet takeover dystopian nightmare world unless you count more AI slop being shoved in your face on Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff. Man, I'm telling you, I'm so tired. As soon as I hear these AI voices pop up on YouTube videos, instantly turn it off. I don't care how good the video is. As soon as I hear one of those voices, instantly I'm done. I can't do it anymore. So, and I think I talked about before, we had, I personally had an 11 Labs subscription, and, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. And for about a week it was, and now I'm just tired of it. And I think everybody else has kind of gotten AI fatigue, if you will. There are still some evangelists, but we will forgive them. We will let them figure it out on their own. But anyway, we have a special guest today. Believe it or not, people do want to talk to me. I know that's contrary to popular belief. People do want to talk to me, so I'm going to have Jody Depp on with us, and she's going to talk about AI and web design and development, and how the personal aspect of design and customization and stuff, affects what she does each and every day, and how that can affect your business or your goals, whatever those may be. I do want to really quickly bring up, since we're talking about AI, I'll put this up here on the screen, but there was a situation involving Google automatically rewriting a local service ad headline for a lawn care company, and they put unprofessional and unreliable as the headline. Yes. So if you're relying on Google Ads, it may decide to rewrite things, and it's going to pull information from maybe elsewhere on the web, maybe from reviews. I don't know. So if you've gotten one bad review, maybe it's going to skim through and say, oh, okay, well, how am I going to describe this business? Unprofessional and unreliable. So that's not good. So definitely be paying attention to your Google Ads. There are options available to allow for automated creative with a lot of these advertising platforms. Facebook does the same thing, or Meta properties do the same thing. I would just be cautious if you are relying on AI unsupervised. You may end up like that, where it decides to tell the whole world, including potential customers, hey, guess what? This business sucks, and don't give them your money. And that can harm your brand. And that can take a while to recover from. I mean, I would be very, very cautious about that. So once again, AI proving that, it's not quite there yet. And I don't know that it ever will be. But that's just my personal opinion. That is a conversation for another day. And so now I want to welcome Jody Depp. She is the founder, the owner, the head honcho at The Curated Pixel. And she is a web design and development expert. And we're going to be talking about AI and branding and how content and content marketing fits in with the scope of the web design sphere. So, Jody, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's fun to be here and
Absolutely.
chit chat with you.
Yeah, definitely. So, give me a little bit of background on yourself, as well as Curated Pixel, and maybe kind of talk about your journey in web design and development and how you got here, from where, and how all that worked.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I kind of started out my first career as a paralegal because I was interested in law, and that was interesting and boring at the same time. Um, and then I had kids, and I took a career break for about 10 years. I
Hmm.
just was working in the home, which is really a lot more work than an actual job that's kind of like
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, but I was always thinking about what am I going to do when the kids go to school? And so I tried lots of different things and sort of got really interested in code because I had
Hmm.
made a website on WordPress and the website was really horrible. And I was like, this sucks. I think I need to learn some code and maybe I can
Hmm.
fix it, which was really doesn't make any sense at all. What I needed was to learn web design, but
Hmm.
I thought I needed to learn code. So then I went to a coding boot camp and I loved code and it was interesting. And I learned to code websites from scratch, which I realized was very time consuming and not in any way like a useful career path to code websites from scratch. So
Hmm.
for a while, I looked at work in development, but I didn't really love programming. I mean, the introductory code was cool, but programming was a lot of math. So at this point,
Hmm.
my interest was kind of starting to lean towards design instead of coding, and I just was like, all right, I'm not going to work as a developer. I'm going to start my own business as a web designer. So when my kids went to school this past fall, that's when I started the Curated Pixel,
Nice.
and it's an interesting journey. I've never started a
Yeah.
business, so there's a lot to learn, especially
Absolutely.
on the marketing end.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and it's interesting you brought up the kind of marriage between the coding portion of things and then the design portion of things, and that will kind of lead into the real topic of discussion here, which is AI and how AI is has crept into the design aspect of websites and digital marketing, content marketing, and all that. But yeah, I'm like, I don't have a brain for the coding stuff. Like, and it's interesting. So I think that there are two types of people out there where you've got the people who just they get into the detail oriented stuff, and then you kind of have people who are more like, well, it just feels this way. I'm kind of more of a feels kind of guy, but when it comes to content marketing and digital marketing in general and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, you also have to have the numbers people, or be have the numbers oriented people around you who can concentrate on that stuff, because you got to have the numbers to back up what you're doing. You have to be able to show ROI for clients and things like that. So yeah, unfortunately I'm sometimes limited by the feels portion of my brain. But so let's talk about that with AI and where things are at. So I know that I've seen uh, a lot of advertisements and stuff for AI generated websites. And I've taken a look at some of these tools and services, and I've seen some AI generated websites, and uh, like with all things AI these days,
Mhm.
it's my opinion. I'm not saying that this is for everyone. And if you have an AI generated website, I'm not saying that this applies to you. But in my experience and from my personal opinion, they leave something to be desired. I think, unfortunately, like with all things AI, there's a lack of soul there. It's not that the stuff looks horrible necessarily, but I don't know that it fulfills the intended purpose. So I'd love to get your thoughts from a design developer background, from that perspective, how you see the AI integration into web design and development.
Yeah. So when I finished my coding boot camp was like exactly when Chat GPT came out. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin my like chosen career path, because AI is going to take over everything. Everyone thought that at first. Um, in reality, AI is like an awesome asset and I use it every day. However, a couple times I tried to create a website with AI on the platform I normally use, which I love Squarespace. So on there, and I didn't like what it gave me. And so I've never actually used an AI created website for a client or for myself. Um, Kind of as an experiment before talking to you, I had just got a client who I'm making a wedding venue website for. And I was like, well, let me just go on to some of these AI platforms and see what it can give me for a wedding venue. And so I use the top like 4 platforms: Squarespace, Wix, WordPress, and Webflow. And it's quick. And that part is super awesome. But there is almost no ability to customize your website. 2 of the platforms would do a tiny bit of customization, as in they threw in some wedding photos. The other 2 didn't even have photos,
Right.
anything related to weddings. So
Mhm.
the reality is you would have to go in there and change every single thing about what the AI gave you. And
Right. And mhm.
in that sense, it's like, well, if you're going to do that, you might as well just pick a template that
Sure.
you love that's already curated towards what you need, rather than just let's see what this AI is going to throw out here.
Right.
But
Well,
there's a
and I
time
and
and a
I
place for it.
sure, yeah, and I agree with you that the AI stuff, and I always use AI with quotes because we're not talking about actual any type of intelligence here. We're talking about large language models, which are weighted predictors, and so I always have to temper AI. I know that there's a large segment of the population who truly and honestly believes that this is going to lead to some type of sentient intelligence, whether we're talking about ASI or whether we're just talking in terms of AGI and stuff. I will die on the hill that this technology is not going to lead us that direction. I'm not concerned about that. But
Not in our
as long
lifetime, at
as we
least.
well, right, and well, it's just that this isn't a pathway to there. Now, can artificial intelligence actually be created? That's a whole different topic for a whole different day. But I don't think that large language models and transformer technology is going to. There's no path forward there. But again, that's a topic for another day. But it's interesting that you brought up and you mentioned something there about templates, and this is something that I go back to when I first started getting into any type of website creation. This would have been back in like '99 or something like that. So that's how old I am. I'm dating myself here. But back then it was like hand coding everything with HTML. That was it. Right. And then CSS came along. And it's interesting. I remember when CSS came along, I saw no use for it. I was like, okay, cool. So you can change the color of the background of your website on the fly. I mean, like, I don't. What's the point here? Now CSS has obviously evolved to I mean, it's a necessity for most websites these days. But back then WordPress didn't exist. There were no such things as templates, and the tools that were available. I mean, I remember using Microsoft Dreamweaver at one point. Who was it that owned Flash or created Flash? It was Macromedia. I don't know, but they were before they sold everything. But anyway, so they had a product that I remember using. It was a WYSIWYG editor back then. But then, as time went on, we started having things like Squarespace and Wix and stuff like that come along. And so, where is the delineation between an AI generated website in which it just spits out, you type in, oh, I want a wedding website, and it spits out, some website, versus using templates or versus using a website builder tool like Squarespace or Wix. And by the way, we work with Squarespace all the time. Our website is done with Squarespace. I've done websites in Squarespace. I think Squarespace is great. They're obviously not like perfect for every situation. But yeah, thumbs up for Squarespace there. So what do you feel like is the real difference between typing in, I want a wedding website versus just using templates? Where do you see the delineation there? Where's the line?
Well, so the template has more customization, but the real thing that's missing from both the template and AI is the human customization of it. I mean, I use my template just as kind of the foundation, and I go in and I literally change everything else about the website, from the colors to the layout, from the header all the way to the footer and everything in between. Nothing about the website looks like what it did when I got the template. And I think it would be
Right.
the same for AI. You got to
Mm-hmm.
go in and totally customize it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that's kind of the crux there. Really is even using a website builder tool like Squarespace or Wix or whatever, or templates within WordPress or what have you. It's the customization aspect of it, and I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if you're on X, but. Or I guess it's not, people have been posting this kind of stuff to Reddit and stuff as well, but it's where they've asked generative AI like ChatGPT to reproduce the same image 100 times or something and don't change anything. And within like one iteration, it starts changing things. And before you know it, you have something that doesn't resemble anything close to what the first image was. And that's the problem, is the reproducibility. And this ties into customization, because you can't go back and say, okay, well, cool, I like this, but can you change this and make it this and that? You may not get the result that you expect. And I think that's why turning to a professional such as yourself and the Curated Pixel, having that expert partner there on your side to work with and say, okay, well, this is what I'm going for, and this is what I would like to achieve. And at Charlotte Content Marketing, we always start out with that. I mean, it's always, what are our goals? What are we trying to achieve? Because everybody's going to have different goals. And then that, setting those goals initially is what's going to allow us to find the right tools to get there, because there is no one size fits all answer when it comes to this kind of stuff. Contrary to what some people out there may try to tell you or sell you. You know what I'm talking about. There will be people out there who just say, okay, yeah, this is going to be the blanket solution. And, I don't see how you can do that when it comes to this may be my feels portion coming in again. But when it comes to, every brand is going to be different. Every brand needs a unique and personalized approach to web design and development, as well as content marketing, because everybody's audience is different, and so on and so forth. I think the real difference there is working with an expert, whether you're using templates or not, is ultimately going to give you more control over your product, and the end result. That kind of leads me into collaboration with clients, and where you kind of find that. So maybe take us to the starting point with a client and how you view the collaborative relationship. Do you feel like a lot of people understand what they're looking for at the beginning, and then kind of how do you guide them through that personalization process? And kind of what's your approach to, maybe if someone comes to you and says, I don't know, I just need a website. Where do you start, and maybe kind of what are the core design principles involved in that journey?
Okay. I would say like half of my clients come to me without a website and with no idea. And then the other half come to me with a website that they've created and they know it's horrible. And if they want to be taken seriously, it needs to get
Sure.
fixed. So, really, in both of those scenarios, I've got to figure out what the voice is that they are trying to share with their potential audience. And I like to do this exercise that I learned recently where I ask my clients to envision that they have like a brick and mortar, an office, a building. A lot of my clients do virtual work.
Mm,
So maybe half of them have an office, half of them don't. But I want them to think about how they want their customer to feel when they come to their office or wherever they're working, what they want them to feel. Like, look around the room
right.
and do you want to feel relaxed? Do you want to feel excited? Do you want to feel energized? What color paint do you want on your walls? What type of flooring would you like?
Right.
What kind of
Yeah.
furniture do you want? Do you want like super modern furniture? Do you want comfy, cozy furniture? Do you want art on the walls? And what kind of art do you want on the walls? And
Mm,
really, that's just like 5 questions, maybe. But that tells me pretty much exactly what we want to get out of their website,
right.
assuming they want their website to reflect their brand and their business and who they are, which of course they do. So that's a fun exercise that it'll get me a headway into their palette and into their entire vibe of the website.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so what
That's
was your
cool. And
other
actually,
question?
well, yeah, no, that's cool, and that's something I'll have to store in the back of my brain. Maybe we'll steal that and we'll use that as well, because, and again, that kind of goes back to the feels portion of things, and where it's like, and I like the word you use there, vibe. I think that's like a Gen Z word these days, is vibe, but that's cool. Um, and yeah, it's about capturing the feel and the personality and the style, and you kind of hit it on the head where you said, what do you want a customer to walk away from the experience with your brand feeling? And that ties into content marketing, because you know every piece of content has to tie into that. And I feel like the content marketing aspect of it, and the branding and the web design and development, they all have to work hand in hand, because it all has to make sense in the end. And I think that all pieces of the puzzle are trying to achieve the same goal, but they all have to be cohesive in order to work together to achieve those goals and stuff. But yeah, absolutely, starting with goals and stuff, at the very beginning, and going through kind of that checklist and that onboarding process is vital. And the more people you have involved in a project, it's one thing when you're the principal involved, just you. But then, the more people you get involved, the more everybody has to be on board and stuff. So, absolutely. Well, cool. I want to thank you very much for joining us. We could go on and on and on. I mean, I could sit here all day and talk about really cool web design and development stuff, as well as content marketing, and how we all work together for the betterment of clients, and I would say for the internet as a whole.
Mhm.
But some people
Cleaning it
may
up,
disagree.
making it
Yeah,
pretty.
absolutely, absolutely, man. Because there are some ugly websites out there. I'm not gonna name any names, but man, some of you guys got to get it together. But no, absolutely. Well, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you and learn more about Curated Pixel and what you're doing. And if someone's looking for some awesome personalized web design and development solutions, how they can do that with you.
Yeah, you can find me on my website,
Mhm.
curatedpixel.com. You can get in touch with me there. My number's on there. You can email me. I'm on social media. Just look
Okay.
for the Curated Pixel. Yeah, and I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to see what your project is and help you fix up your website, get you launched, make your brand represent you. Yep.
Absolutely cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jody. I really appreciate you joining us today, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right. So awesome. That was a great conversation, and we really appreciate Jody coming on here. So, based on that, really AI, when it comes to your web design and development, my personal and professional suggestion is to work with an expert. The AI generated stuff is maybe okay for prototyping, quickly getting something up and being like, okay, well, is this what I like, and is this where I want to go with things, and then hand that off to a professional who can then work with you to refine that idea and that feel, and work with you on your branding and things like that to keep everything cohesive and coherent. I think that's a main point that often gets missed here. But yeah, definitely, I would recommend working with a professional once you get past the initial stage, if you do choose to go the AI route. In the meantime, to get in touch with Charlotte Content Marketing, you can visit us online at charlottecontentmarketing.com. You can give us a call at 704-323-6762. We are on socials, Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, right here on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, etc., check us out on YouTube and subscribe here. And if you're watching here on YouTube, check us out wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And we would be more than happy to keep up with you there, and you can keep up with us. And no AI here. I'm 100% genuine. Even though I come up with some wacky stuff sometimes, it's not nearly as bad as some of the things that, as we've seen, that AI can spit out. So yeah, keep it human. And I want to thank you so much for tuning into the Charlotte Content Marketing Podcast, and I will catch you next time.